Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to High on History. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Liz.
And so, a couple weeks ago, we did a rather triggering episode of Rosa Parks. And we personally deemed it not kid friendly for some of our younger audience. We have family who watch this who are younger. And also just some of the material that I covered was very, how do I put it?
We told the truth.
Yeah, we told
the whole
truth.
truth and nothing but the truth, and the truth is a dark and terrible thing.
Yeah.
And we didn't.
I didn't censor
think
myself.
to censor ourselves. Yeah.
And we talked about some very triggering things such as sexual assault, lynchings, and some other just really horrific events that happened in American history during the lifetime of Rosa Parks. So today we are readdressing Rosa Parks, excluding a lot of the heavier detail because I went in depth with some of the events that led up to her being the hero that she is and the icon in American history.
And all that stuff is absolutely worth knowing about. So if you are a member of our older audience and you are interested in the details, we did an episode about it. It is detailed. This one, we're going to do it a little glossier and make it a little bit more family friendly. We're still talking about the civil rights movement. So that is not a family friendly story.
Yeah.
No matter how you slice it. So, let's get started though.
Okay, so Rosa Parks was born on February 4th, 1913 in Tuskegee, Alabama, and she died in Detroit, Michigan on October 24th in 2004. She is best known as a civil rights activist. She was active from the years of 1931 to 2002.
Man, that's a life well lived.
That was her entire life, pretty much.
That is a life well lived.
Yeah. And then she is also most well known for the Montgomery bus boycott and the reason for it. And her arrest was on December 1st, 1955, and we will be going in depth particularly about that topic. Now, she met her husband, Raymond Parks. He was a barber and an activist. They had no children of their own, but they were doting aunts and an auntie and uncle, and they loved their 13 nieces and nephews.
You know, she has that in common with Beatrix Potter.
Yeah, and me as well.
Yes,
so,
doting aunties.
Yeah, to the aunties.
To the aunties.
And those wonderful 13 children came from her brother Raymond, and she was very close to her baby brother. So she met her husband in 1931. They were initially not attracted to each other due to issues, whatever. Go check out the other video. You can get all that heady information there. And then they got married on December 18th in 1932 at her mother's house. And it
Backyard
was
wedding?
pretty much, yes.
Those are the best.
Right. So, during the 1940s, which was World War II, Rosa Parks was working as a seamstress at Maxwell Air Force Base. Inside the base, it was fully integrated. So, black soldiers, black civilians who worked on the base rode the bus and got to sit next to the white person, and it didn't matter.
Right, because they were all servicemen.
It was fully integrated. There was no colored section. There was no Jim Crow laws on the base. That's what I'm getting at. But outside the base, because she was a civilian, she didn't get to live on the base, she got to experience the Jim Crow laws. And that was a big kind of like, what's going on here? Why is there inequality? So that was a big point in her life. And as a child, she recalls a lot of black people were found dead under mysterious circumstances throughout her childhood, throughout her adult life. The Scottsboro Boys in 1931, the assault of Racy Taylor in 1944, Jeremiah Reeves of 52, and the lynching of Emmett Taylor of 55 were all major events that she was very deeply involved with. And again, if you want that information, definitely check out the other video. Now, we are focusing tonight specifically on the arrest, the boycott, and the trials, because right now, civil rights is a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
So, in Montgomery, as of the 1900s, this is the city of Montgomery, Alabama, they had an ordinance that would pass segregation, and it was implemented before the state had even implemented segregation laws. So, Montgomery got a kickstart on that one. And pretty much it was that there was segregated seating on the bus, but it was stipulated that no rider had to surrender a seat unless there was no other seat available.
Right.
Now, many drivers had failed to follow that ordinance and just made any one move anyways. Back then, 3/4 of the riders were African American, and most of them were actually forced to pay up front. Then they were forced to exit the bus, go to the back door, and then get back on.
Right.
Now, at that point, the driver would more than likely be a jerk and pull off.
Right.
Taking their money and leaving the passenger behind. That was a common practice. And that's exactly what happened to Rosa Parks when she first met Blake. Now, James Frederick Blake was the driver. And if you want the full details again of what kind of jerk he really is, I go in depth about his encounter with Lucille Times and how he ran her off the road. And I also talk about how he left Rosa Parks after taking her money and insisting she get off the bus. So James Frederick Blake, jerk. And he got to live his life happily ever after, retired from the bus company. He didn't get fired or nothing. But now the incident of what actually we know as her arrest and what kickstarted all of the civil rights movement was on December 1st of 1955, where Blake had demanded Parks and 3 other riders to get up and move. The other 3 passengers got up, making open seats. At this point, Rosa didn't need to move.
Right.
Yeah, so there were 3 open seats at that point. And so he ends up calling his bus company, and I don't understand how he actually called them, because they didn't have cell phones back in the 50s, so I'm not quite sure, like, the bus had some way of, like, connecting to a hard line, or what, or, like...
This was the days when you had to call an operator, right?
Yeah, but
So,
anyway...
That's interesting. Okay, well,
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah, I have no idea.
That is a rabbit hole we should go down.
Yeah. But he was told to exercise his powers, and under the city ordinance of Chapter 6, Section 11, City Code, he had the police-like authority to remove her from the bus. And he did just that. And that was the arrest that we know. She was taken to Montgomery Hall and fingerprinted, and she was quoted saying that she felt that if she did stand up, that she approved of the way she was being treated, and she didn't approve of that way. And I mean, really?
I mean, that's just a matter of straight up individual dignity.
Yeah.
That is dignity.
Now, there's 2 trials I'm about to talk about. I'm going to talk about her trial versus Alabama State. And then I'm also going to talk about Browder versus Gale. Now, her trial versus Alabama and Browder vs. Gale are pretty much the same trial, just so everyone is aware. The difference was that because of Rosa Parks' very public arrest, because of her very public trial going on with the state of Alabama, her name was dropped from Browder vs. Gale, and 4 other plaintiffs were picked up and put on that bill.
And so this was happening to other people also, who also did not stand up?
Yeah. In the other episode, I mentioned the other women who were part of Broward vs. Gale, and for the sake of this video, I will mention them again. I didn't go in depth much in the last video on them, because I was mainly focusing on Rosa, and so...
Right, okay.
If you want to know who these women are, please...
Let us know. That's a rabbit hole we can go down.
We did not go down that rabbit hole, but these women were also at the same time a part of the activism, a part of the protest, and a part of just being like, we have had enough and there is no more. We're not going to take it. So now her trial was taken over by E.D. Nixon.
So, wait, I'm a little bit curious about something.
Okay.
I'm not clear on a detail.
Okay.
Was her refusing to move the beginning of the Montgomery bus boycott, or was that something that was... Because, as my understanding, that the boycotts were kind of happening off and on for a while,
so,
right?
There was a combination of different things going on. Individual, smaller groups were organizing and protesting the bus systems. Okay. In the other video, we talked about the Lucille Times protest, where she started driving around and picking up black passengers and taking them to their destination free of charge.
Right.
Or for bus fare. I don't know if she actually charged. I don't think it actually said. Okay. But anyways, as a part of the protest, by her treatment by James, that was her protest.
Okay.
And at that same time, with these other women, Aurelia Browder, Claudette Colvin, and same with the Scottsboro Boys, the assault of Ray C. Taylor, all of these things were leading up to the smackdown of this boycott.
Okay.
So, and this is kind of like one of the pivotal moments. So, in her trial, she was taken over by, her case for Alabama was E.D. Nixon and Clifford Durr. E.D. Nixon is one of the longest-serving African-American House of Representatives. And Clifford Durr worked on the New Deal with FDR. So we've got 2 amazingly talented lawyers.
Nice.
Who are working her state case. Now, this was supposed to be a municipal trial against the city.
Right, but...
I keep calling it a state case.
Yeah, I did notice that, yeah.
So, the municipal lawyers and the bus system bumped it up to the state. They made it a big deal and was like, blah, 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 we need to make it about the state laws instead of about the city laws. And they actually got the judge to grant it to become a state matter instead of a municipal matter.
That would, in retrospect, does not seem terribly wise.
As far as I'm concerned, that's illegal according to what I understand about the law.
I don't know that it is or not, actually. And I don't know what the law was in Mississippi at the time
Alabama.
either. Alabama.
What, same backwoods.
Yeah, that's not fair.
So anyways, according to the state district court, she was charged for disobedience, and she was charged a total of $14. Nowadays, I think that totaled out to like $136 or something like that. But even then, like, I'm sure if she was charged with disobedience and fined nowadays, she would be rotting in jail.
Right.
Like, she'd have a fine of like $100,000, could not pay her fine type stuff. So she did end up pleading not guilty, but she was found guilty on the state charges. Yeah. She did not actually have to testify at her own trial. They found two witnesses that came forward and testified on her behalf, confirming that there was open seating. And now there was an appeal filed. The appeal was filed by Fred Gray with the federal court. And this is where we get Browder versus Gale. Now, at this time, in response to Rosa Parks' district court trial,
Mm-hmm.
there's police retaliation.
Right.
There's a lot of brutality going on. The police commissioner, Clyde Sellers, issued a get tough policy.
Ugh.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we would never change the lingo, I guess.
Yeah, right? Never change the lingo. And that was specifically targeting black pedestrians, any pedestrian that might be associated with a boycott, participation, or organizer. And they also had police escorts for the white pedestrians who rode the bus out of retaliation safety.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, what a waste of, what a waste of resources.
Yeah. So in this time, during...
Showboating at its best.
Yeah, right. So in this retaliation, Clyde Sellers was the police commissioner. He's one of the people that is charged with the Browder vs. Gale charge. Okay? So I'm going to hop over to Browder vs. Gale, and then I'll jump back over to the protest. So Browder vs. Gale is the Supreme Court hearing that was based off of the 14th Amendment. And now to just kind of quickly recap, the 14th Amendment addresses citizenship, equal protection under the law, and due process, ensuring that all persons born or nationalized in the United States are citizens, and that no state can deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process or deny equal protection of the law. I cannot express that enough with what's going on in this world right now. Under the 14th Amendment, every American has that right.
No, not every American. Read the wording more carefully. Every person. Any person.
Born or naturalized.
No. Listen. Equal protection under the law and due process, ensuring that all persons born or naturalized in the United States are citizens, and that no state can deprive any person, it doesn't say citizen, it says any person, of life, liberty, or property without due process or deny equal protection of the laws.
And they define person as born or naturalized.
No, born or naturalized are citizens. I've been going, okay. I watch lawyers on this on YouTube all day. Any persons. Jamie Raskin is going to tell you any persons. In fact, that's exactly the argument he's making. Anyway, we're off the history.
Off the history.
Sorry, we also do other stuff.
Yep. So now, during this time, let's see, we jumped into the 14th Amendment, and that decision was a ruling that segregation on public transportation is unconstitutional. Which, I mean, segregation really kind of is unconstitutional under the 14th Amendment. And now, the Montgomery bus boycott played a significant role in the decision-making. Now, lawyer Fred Gray represented Aurelia Browder, and she was harassed due to the unfair laws. We have Claudette Cloven, who was actually arrested before Rosa Parks. She was 15 when she was arrested. And she was actually the first, and she refused to move. Now, sadly, and I'm going to connect the two here, she was actually friends with Emmett Till.
Oh, no.
Yeah. She went to school with that young lad. And then there was Susie McDonald, who was also harassed, and Mary Louise Smith, who was arrested, held for 2 hours, and fined. There was no due process for her.
Wow.
Now, the case was petitioned on February 1st, 1956. So this is after Rosa's trial is
underway.
And now the district court ruled that the segregation deprived people of equal protection under the 14th Amendment, and the court ordered the city to desegregate. Now, the city fought for appeals over and over and over again, and it was denied. Now, Mayor Gale was handed an official notice on February, on the 20th. The second petition was filed by the November 20th. Yeah, so November 20th, Mayor Gale was handed an official notice of 1956 by a U.S. federal marshal. Pretty much cease and desist. Desegregate the city now.
Right.
Yeah. Now, the people that this specific case, Brown vs. Gale, went after included the police, the city commissioner, Clyde Sellers, that I mentioned earlier.
Right.
Let's see. As well as Frank Parks, city police chief, Goodwin Rupenthal, Montgomery City Lines, Inc., which is the bus company, as well as members of the Alabama Public Service Commissions. And the lawsuit claimed that the bus segregation laws enforced by these officials and the bus company were unconstitutional. And specifically, they violated the Equal Protection Clause under the 14th Amendment. Now, the Equal Protection Clause specifically guarantees that all persons within a state's jurisdiction are to be equally treated under the law.
Correct.
Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the protest. I know, what did I do with that? I jumped. Aha! Okay. Now, on the 2nd of December, like rewinding time here, 2nd December 1955, there was a meeting in the church. The church is called Mount Zion, which was the church where Martin Luther King did his things at.
Cool.
Yeah, right? So this is a big thing. Everybody's getting together. Where there were plans for the boycott that was being held. There was extensive television coverage of this trial. And on December 4th, many pastors announced to their congregation the date of the protest was to be held on the day of the trial. The day of the trial was going to be on December 5th. So the protest was only supposed to be one day. Let me just emphasize that.
Right.
It turned into being over a year.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. So, with that, Martin Luther King was actually ended up arrested in February of 56 because the city had declared the boycott illegal and 115 leaders were arrested. King was the only one charged for the protest, though. But the boycott continued. Now, the boycott had 3 simple demands. They wanted courteous treatment. They wanted first come, first served seating with segregation. They didn't mind sitting in the back of the bus. They just wanted first come, first served seating. Don't tell me to move. I can sit here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they wanted to hire black drivers for high black ratio routes.
That makes sense.
Right? I'd be sick and tired of getting left behind too all the fucking time. Oh,
yeah.
Sorry. The whole point of this episode is not to be dropping that word. My bad. It had to happen. It had to happen.
You've done so good.
I know. I did so good. Anyways, so she didn't even get to speak at this meeting. But that was kind of okay. She was dealing with her own thing at the trial, and they kind of didn't want her to speak because her arrest is saying enough what she's doing by going to trial, facing death threats, facing all sorts of horrible things. She's lost her job at this point.
Right.
Her husband's lost her job. Her world's falling apart because of all of this. So, like, she didn't really actually get to speak at all through any of the protest. Which, I mean, I don't blame her either. I'd kind of want to keep my silence.
Sure. Also, anything you say can and will be used against you.
Right. So, on December 6th to the 8th, there was a press conference, and King had announced that the boycott was going to continue because he got arrested. And because she was found guilty.
Right.
So, and that's about when Browder starts being like, oh, because this is December 55.
Mm-hmm.
Browder vs. Gale starts February of 56. So this is where Fred Gray is taking the case to federal court now.
Right.
So we're moving on to a new chapter, and Rosa Parks has pretty much been ostracized from her life. And that was a kind of a lowdown of the protest. And then in the 50s, after the protest was over, I had something written about the dates. I ended up deleting how long. Oh, King ended up calling off the boycott 381 days.
Wow.
After the boycott had begun. So that's how long it lasted. That's how long both trials took. That's how long, like, we had to stick it to them.
Right.
And it was called off hours after the federal court had made their ruling. And that was in, I think, what, I said November is when they had had enough of Gale and, yeah. By June, the district court had made their ruling, and by December 20th, Gale was handed the notice. So, 381 days, federal court's like, hey, we're done, we told you so, desegregate this city. King's like, hey, we're done, we got what we wanted, thank you. Now, again, before I move on into a recap of kind of like my pick and choosings of the highlights of her later years, if you want the glorious details of her amazing life after the arrest, please go check out the very triggering video.
And just go look into it. Her story is amazing. It's even in the longer video. There was enough there that there was stuff we had to skip over. I mean, that video was 2 hours, and like the Hypatia video, we kind of could have gone on and on and on.
Right.
So, go look it up. Like, if you love this stuff like we love this stuff, go check it out, because it's amazing. It's a story.
It is. So in the 1950s, after everything was said and done, they moved to Detroit. They lost everything in Alabama because of this. They lost their jobs, they lost their respect, they were getting red rum threats. Everything was just taken from them pretty much, unfortunately. So by the 60s, she's marching on Washington, she's working with John Conyers, and John Conyers is amazing. She compared the Detroit riots to the work that she did with the boycott. She attended the Black Panther Conference in Philadelphia of '68. And now moving on to the '70s. She supported the Black Power movement. She was advocating for political prisoners. She was dear friends with Angela Davis, which she was a scholar and a Marxist, and I think Angela Davis is still alive. She's still an activist. I've heard her name, kind of looked into her, and from what I read, she's quickly kind of an actual hero of mine myself right now.
Nice. This is why we do this stuff.
Right, yeah. She was also an advocate for the Wilmington 10, the RNA 11. RNA is the Republic of New Africa, which is similar to Cascadia or the state of Jefferson, except a republic for the African American culture of an independent nation.
So it's an idea of a mini nation.
Yeah, taking up all the southern states at that.
Right.
All for it at that. I'm all for it. And in the 80s, she wrote many letters supporting Black Panthers. She supported the Black Army Liberation Movement. She was a big advocate during the South African opposing the apartheid movement. Apparently in 84 and 88, then before my lifetime, Jesse Jackson ran for president, and she supported him. And then through the 90s, she continued her activism, calling for the release of Nelson Mandela, participating in the Million Man March. And then in the early 2000s, she was coming to the end of her life. In 2002, she had received an eviction notice, where she was not paying her rent. But at that point, in 2002, she was 90 years old and, unable to, really manage her own funds. So, a woman who helped her create her foundation, which, again, all of that detail is really in the other episode.
Yeah.
Miss Steele defends Parks Care and just says that the eviction notice was sent by mistake. Her really close family says that there was something else going on. There was something.
Somebody was mismanaging.
Yeah, something was hanky with her funds. And now we are getting to we are getting to her passing. Now, she died on October 24th of 2004 of natural causes. She was 92 years old. She lived a beautiful life. And again, please check her out. There's so much out there on her life. She wrote 3 autobiographies. I list all 3 of them in the other video. And now she I want to go over all the different beautiful tributes that happened. Again, all of that details in the other video. She was honored in Detroit on a public transit system where the first rows of seats were blocked off in her memory with a black ribbon. She was the first woman to be laid in honor at the Rotunda, and 40,000 people came to pay respects to her in D.C. She was the first ever female, second African American to be held at the Rotunda. There was a public memorial held in Detroit for her. Her casket was displayed at the African History Museum in Detroit. And then she was finally laid to rest on November 2nd with her husband and her mother. She received in her lifetime the Spring Grand Medal, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the Congressional Gold Medal, and there is a statue of her in the Capitol National Statuary Hall. Both the state of California and Colorado honor her birthday on February 4th. Oregon, Texas, and Ohio celebrate her arrest on December 1st.
Interesting.
Yeah. And again, if you want the more detailed, lengthier version, go check out the 2-hour video. That's a wrap on Rosa Parks tonight. This coming 2 weeks, we're going to start working on the French Revolution. And that's going to be something we're going to tag team, kind of the way we tackled Paleolithic Africa for the next few weeks or so.
Yeah,
that's kind of the goal.
There are some stories that are not super easy to tell. We also are probably going to try to keep our videos a little bit shorter, so we'll do little runs on various topics so that we can cover them more effectively without sitting here like, we've gotten, like, totally hungry and, like,
yeah,
well,
right.
downright hangry doing some of these, so we decided we needed to shorten them up a little bit. But hey, we've got 37 subscribers now.
Yeah, we finally got 37
Thank you, guys.
Woo,
Go ahead, do the end read.
So subscribing helps us reach our New Year's resolution of 100 subscribers. Please share us. Hit that like button if you love what we do. Hit that subscribe button, hit your notification bell. You'll never miss a winding rabbit hole with us. And then if you had any questions, comments, feedback, post them below. We'll shout you out. And this week we had a comment from GourmelFun99. Thank you very much for watching the video.
Thank you so much.
Bye.